a scion of many worlds. The party had lasted nearly 4 hours. Not too long by human standards, but even with Axiom, these girls tire fairly quickly. Jasper couldn't help but notice that his Defier's Guild watchers were switching out in shifts. Trying to both keep up and keep pace with him throws them off badly. But eventually things wind down and the partiers have to go home. So too does Jasper and his people return to their guest areas. Magrica coils up almost like a cat on his chest, and Lady Allure tucks herself into his side, using one of his wings and her own to tuck in close. Part of him wants to latch onto the wall and rest that way, but as Jasper he'd never really had the opportunity, and as Emmanuel his life was entirely on spaceships and there aren't exactly big trees to sink your claws into there. He feels himself partially wake during the night, but there's no sense of danger and he falls back asleep. There's no one unfamiliar and he can't really sense weapons, which is why he's somewhat confused to find another body pressed in against him. His antenna says Terry Kata is pressed in on his side and his ears tell him she's snoring there. He turns his head to see the woman in question and can't help but notice he's the first awake. With the oversized hot water bottle of Magrica on his chest, the feather-stuffed pillow of Ayler to his left, and Terry on his right, he's well and truly penned in, but not uncomfortable. He wonders why he's waking when he senses movement near the edge of his antenna's range. He moves to rise, but his arms are either weighed down by Aylure's wings on his left or outright latched onto on his right by Terry. He senses the movement again, and as much as he'd like to be able to give the benefit of the doubt, he has a scar on his stomach as proof positive how dangerous these people can be. He shakes a bit, and Magrica starts to mumble, and Terry's grip grows stronger for a moment before relaxing as the Aramenta wakes first. "Too early," she mutters. "Someone's here." He answers, and Terry starts to rise. With his arm free, Jasper gently levers off Magrica and places her next to Allure, so he can slowly shift a little, and then teleports about a foot away and in a more battle-ready position. "Think something might happen?" Terry asks at a whisper. "People tend to make bad choices if they think they can get away with them. I hope they're not being stupid, but relying on hope alone gets someone disappointed." "You sound like you've been here before," Terry remarks. "Their philosophy isn't entirely a bad one, but they've taken it too far enough that some might get angry at me for making things better," he says softly. "I don't think it's that, but it might be, so I have to check." "I hope you're paranoid," Magrica mutters, showing that she's woken up without him noticing. "So do I," Jasper replies, and he slowly stalks through the darkness until he reaches the place where he sensed movement. It's not near the door or windows. It's in the corner of the room. He taps the wall twice as Magrica quietly wakes up Lady Allure. The first tap on the right wall is solid, but the left has a distinctly different noise. He focuses on his antenna and finds a small spot where the wall sinks in and then pulls it out. There's a distinct little jolt in the wall and he pulls it out. Inside is a small room that he will not be able to fit in, and a Hydro Nagasha who he grabs around the head and pulls into the room proper. Terry looks into the room and her eyebrows go up as she beholds the tunnel going straight down. There are small bumps in the wall, but they're too smooth for fingers to be much use. It takes her only a moment to put it together that the tunnel is designed to allow a Nagasha to climb up the bumps and sides of the hole with her tail. "Mind explaining why you were spying on us?" Jasper asks, as the Nagasha looks around to see all the unhappy faces around her. "I am a servant of the Empress, the true Empress, not the deceiving serpent. It's my duty to keep an eye on champions that are not of our people within our borders," the Nagasha states, and Magrica pulls off a small book tied to her waist and starts leafing through it. I was wondering when Terry showed up. Couple of hours ago?" Magrica asks. "You and Allure keep sleeping with him and looking more and more rested. I thought it was a good idea." Terry says, clearly and deliberately leaving things out. No one misses that. So what exactly is the relationship between you and your champions? Carnal, Jasper says, and Magrica throws her head back and laughs as Lady Allure buries her face in her hands. Terry raises an eyebrow. All of them? The Nagasha asks in shock, and Jasper shrugs. At least two. I'm not going to argue very hard against a woman in amazing shape putting the moves on me. Jasper answers. Amazing shape am I? Magrica asks, and he throws her a grin. One she eagerly returns. So, the Hydro Nagasha begins. So? Jasper asks. Never mind, the Nagasha says. Look, I'm on the paranoid side of things. Please, for your own sake, don't sneak around me. It makes me want to throw things at you. Jasper rebukes the girl and she blinks. Things like swords and windstorms? Exactly. He confirms and she nods. I'll just watch the hallway outside your quarters then. Good night, she says, backing up slowly. When no one stops her, she all but dives into the small hidden room and slithers down the tunnel and out of sight. Immediately after, a large crystal spike lands in the tunnel and blocks it from below. Jasper looks to Terry, who shrugs. I don't like being spied on, she says with a shrug. Fair enough. Jasper notes as he brings out his swords and balances them against the main door to the room. If it's opened, they'll clatter heavily and hard. That done, they all settle down, no one commenting at Terry's presence, and in less than 10 minutes all four of them are asleep again. Several hours later, the swords clatter to the ground and the woman who opened the door screams and slams it, even as all four of them are up and ready in a heartbeat. The woman is unarmed and fucking terrified of what just happened. Well, that's a hell of a wake-up call, Jasper notes as he collects his swords and stretches a bit. His now fully developed endoskeleton pops a bit as he stretches and gets the kinks out. The Emmanuel part of him finds it odd to have so many bones, but Jasper is good and comfortable. The fact that Earthani use axiom as natural structural reinforcement is somewhat disquieting to him. A species that can't even stand up properly or even breathe without fucking space magic, and he's one of them. It takes just a bit to get dressed and ready, the girls sort of muttering among themselves. Particularly to Terry, as they sort out what to think about her and things sort out before they even leave the room. So what's the verdict? Jasper asks Magrica, who grins up on him. You're going to see if she's got crystals in her soon enough, Magrica remarks, and Jasper's mind immediately starts to wander before coming back. The second he starts thinking there may be sand involved, he pulls back and refocuses on the here and now. So, you're here for what? Jasper asks the somewhat terrified girl who had opened the door. I'm Arya-san, the young Foza says, and Jasper nods. I have been sent from a palace. The Holy Empress wishes to speak with you in person. Very well, should we dine before heading over, or will there be a meal prepared for us? Jasper asks, and Arya-san nods. Which one? There will be a breakfast to dine over. She wishes to discuss the gifts being offered to her empire and people and how best to receive them. I see. Come along, girls. Let's see where Lady Clarity went off to, and she's already been invited. It's a feast for you and your warriors in honor of your victory. She tells him, and he nods. All right then, let's go. He agrees, and Arya-san leads them through the arena barracks and through the city. There are some cheers as he walks through and up towards the palace around which the city has been built. You know you're kind of in luck, Arya-san says as she leads them. Oh? Jasper asks. Yes. One of the Earthani tribes is in the city today. They're trading their silk for tools and such things. Oh, I see. Good for them. It's good that they're getting out of their comfort zones and interacting more with others. Many of them take so long to build their courage that they just don't have many years left to use it. Jasper notes, it's a neutral and friendly statement. How did you find yours? Arya-san asks. Pardon? You're far from normal. What is it that makes you different from other Earthani? She asks, and Jasper chuckles. Many, many things. In fact, so many things that you could consider me an Earthani in name only. I've even been altering my own blood to operate differently. I don't even bleed the same anymore. Really? Yes, really. Earthani blood is a color other than red as it uses copper. It normally comes out a bluish green. I've mixed iron in my own, however, so it carries things a little better, making my blood a more purplish hue. Wow, why would you do that? How did you do that? You need to understand the inner workings of the body to really understand that. But long story short, different colors of blood are made by different parts of the body. Iron blood is made from the marrow of bones. Blue-green blood is made from a sheath layer inside the vein systems that matures and breaks off to form blood. Since I have both, my blood comes out an odd hue of purple. He explains, and Arya-san outright stops to stare at him. So, you're some kind of creature creator, but you've used your own body to become a powerful warrior? She demands, and he shrugs. That's a fair approximation. It's not entirely correct, but it's close enough, Jasper admits. Are there others like you? Yes, Titan Squad. It's what I'm a sergeant of. Basically, everyone on it is absolutely gigantic, a great big threat on any fight. So, an army of champions. That's terrifying, Arya-san mutters. If they're enemies, then yes, but we're not. We have no reason to be, Jasper says with a smile. Now, not to be rude, but I don't think we want to keep the Empress waiting, do we? At that bit of prodding, the young woman rushes forward and bids them to follow. The streets get progressively better maintained and the buildings more elaborate and well maintained the closer they get to the palace. The arena, for better or worse, was at the opposite end of the city, and while the area around the arena was also well maintained, there was a borderline slum between the two nice areas. Just another problem, or rather the specifics of a problem on his pile of problems to deal with. Luckily, this one seems like something he can delegate. Just get the resources to some architect or noble who likes the idea of urban renewal, and the job is pretty much done, but for looking over the end result and seeing if there's been mistakes made. The palace is opulent and designed more for open spaces and ostentatious carvings. The castle at Miru was more of a fortress with its towers and windows one could shoot out of. Stately, but practical as well. This was more of a resort for royalty to live in than a fort to bunker down at. They pass gardens of delicate flowers with songbirds fluttering overhead, stately columns of carved stone to either side with fruit-bearing vines crawling up their length, and an air of happiness and festivity. The Empress of the breakaway empire is likely a puppet, but Jasper has to admit that this puppet has one hell of a stage to perform on. You're here, finally. My advisors suggested you come last as you would need more time to rest and grow at ease after that incredible battle and the night spent in celebration. I have never seen such a fight before. You whipped up the winds themselves and the fury of storms embraced your blades. It was astounding. The Empress, barely more than a child, gushes at him as she slithers up on her overly long tail. A jungle Nagasha, the only Nagasha subspecies with a greater size than a primal, even if that size is all in her gigantic tail. What does throw off Jasper for a moment are the tattoos on this girl. She's been tattooed with Kutha, so they would thrum with a power similar to a primal Nagasha. They've been trying to recreate a primal in their own way, and the latest Empress was in all likelihood the latest failure. He feels a stab of pity for the child. She may be hosting an opulent feast for her latest hero of the day, but this palace is just a cage for her, gilded though it may be. She's like Zavaya, if not more so. Perhaps she's even aware of it too. When the Undaunted take control of this world, he'll make the girl an offer. No doubt she'd appreciate at least a choice in what happens to her. And who knows, maybe Zavaya would appreciate having a little sister.